So picture this. It's 2 in the morning on September 5th, 2025, and there's this Russian engineer just doing his job, checking pressure gauges at the Ryazan refinery. Poor guy has absolutely no clue that Ukrainian planners have been plotting his plant's doom for 3 whole months. In exactly 73 seconds, that $7 billion prize is about to light up the Russian sky like the world's most expensive fireworks show. And I'm not being dramatic about that 7 billion figure. This isn't your average refinery we're talking about. This place is basically the gas station for Moscow's entire military district. It's feeding the tanks that are breathing down Europe's neck, keeping the capital running and shoving billions of hard cash straight into the Kremlin's war piggy bank. For Ukraine, knocking this place offline isn't just some feel-good moment. It's literally grabbing Russia's war machine by the throat, making this target worth more than almost anything else they could hit. The whole attack hinged on this beast called a Sokil-300, a 440-pound monster drone that had been racing toward Ryazan at 150 miles per hour, practically kissing the ground at a crazy low 130 feet. This thing was carrying 10 custom-built FPV attack drones on its back, each one packed with a 4.4-pound shaped charge warhead. The whole operation was basically a masterclass in showing how Russia's obsession with big, expensive defenses makes them sitting ducks for small, nimble threats. Here's the math that should be keeping Russian generals awake at night. That Sokil-300 drone cost about $100,000. The 10 little FPV drones it was carrying cost $5,000 each. Their target was this thing called the ELOA-VT-6 cracking unit, a single piece of equipment worth $500 million sitting inside a $7 billion refinery. Ukrainian intelligence had spent months hunting down this one critical weakness. This isn't warfare anymore. It's the most savage corporate raid in history, and the stock's about to tank hard. At 15 minutes past midnight, way before the target was even visible, that Sokil-300 had taken off from some hidden field in Sumy Oblast. For the next 90 minutes, watching this thing fly was like getting a physics lesson in staying invisible. Hugging the terrain at 130 feet, the Ukrainian Sokil-300 drone basically used the Earth's own curve as a shield against Russia's fancy Nebo-M and Big Bird radars. This wasn't some straight-line autopilot job either. It was following this winding, dangerous path that came from 3 months of serious intelligence work. US satellites gave them the basic map, but Ukrainian Leleka 100 scout drones were providing live traffic updates, basically painting an invisible highway through all the holes in Russian air defense. This whole thing started with 4 weeks of obsessive planning to find the refinery's weak spot. They didn't pick the Soil mothership for show. It was cold, hard math about risk versus reward. Instead of sending dozens of long-range drones that could get picked off one by one, they decided to send one bigger, sneakier aircraft to deliver the knockout punch up close. Think of it like the difference between an archer shooting a bunch of arrows from a mile away versus a hunter who quietly walks up and puts the knife exactly where it needs to go. And here's the kicker. One of those FPV-S was special. Instead of explosives, it was carrying this compact custom jamming pod. Its whole job was to create a 10-second window of pure electronic mayhem to blind the S-400's main radar at just the right moment. It's like throwing sand in the goalie's eyes right before you take your penalty shot. At 1:58 a.m., just 12 miles from the refinery, the Soil did its thing. It dropped its 10-drone payload and banked hard for home. That 12-mile mark wasn't random. It was calculated to be just outside the kill zone of the Pantsir-S1 air defense systems guarding the place. Now, the Russians didn't protect their $7 billion asset with some chain-link fence and a sleepy security guard. This place was a billion-dollar fortress built with the kind of arrogant confidence that only oil money can buy. The outer ring was the S-400 Triumph system, whose Big Bird and Nebo-M radars are designed to track strategic bombers and ballistic missiles 250 miles away. It's like buying a professional telescope to watch for alien invasions while completely missing the termites eating your house's foundation. Then there's what I call the electronic moat, the Krasuka 4. This isn't some subtle jammer. It's a $200 million brute that blankets 150 miles in every direction with so much raw radio noise that it could give a satellite a headache. If anything somehow gets through that electronic hurricane, 12 Pantsir-S1 complexes form the inner wall. Each one of these Leica 100 drones had mapped the radar gaps perfectly. They're $15 million self-contained killing machines bristling with missiles and 30mm cannons designed to shred anything that gets too close. Add 2 Mi-28 Havoc attack helicopters on permanent standby and Spetsnaz patrols so bored they're probably playing cards, and you've got the most expensive security system oil money can buy. Inside a climate-controlled command vehicle, there's this operator named Sergey who hasn't spilled his tea in a year. On his screen, the airspace looks clean. He's been trained to believe nothing can touch this place. He sees reports of Ukrainian drone strikes on the front lines and just laughs. "Children's toys," he tells his buddy. He has no idea that 10 of those toys are now inside his kill zone, about to teach him that in modern war, it's not how much your weapon costs that matters, but how smart the person using it is. At 1:59, 2 of the 10 FPV drones break away from the pack and punch their throttles, climbing aggressively. Their job isn't to hit anything, it's to get spotted by Russian radar. On the S-400 scope, 2 bright blips suddenly appear out of the ground clutter. The system does exactly what its $500 million price tag promises. It locks on with ruthless efficiency. That's the trigger. As the S-400 focuses its powerful radar on the 2 decoys, the designated jammer drone, one of the 8 still flying low, unleashes a focused 10-second blast of high-powered microwave energy aimed right at the system's receiver. It's like someone pointing a high-beam flashlight directly into your eyes when you're trying to find your keys in the dark. You're not blind, but you can't see anything that matters. In that window of engineered chaos, the 7 remaining attack drones slip through the gap completely undetected. The Krasuka 4 has made GPS completely useless, but these drones don't need it. They're navigating using solid-state gyros and accelerometers that track every change in speed and direction. It's a sophisticated attack that would mess up most consumer drones, but these Sokil releases Baba Yaga FPV Swarm aren't hobby shop toys. You can jam GPS, but you can't fool physics-based navigation. The electronic chess match is over. Ukraine just checkmated a $1 billion defense with a 10-second bluff. At exactly 2 a.m., the first FPV hits. Its target isn't the ELU-AVT-6, not yet. It's a secondary pipe rack. The 4.5-pound shaped charge doesn't just explode. Its copper liner forms a high-velocity jet at 25,000 feet per second. It doesn't just blow up, it vaporizes a precisely engineered hole through just over half an inch of steel at over 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit, lighting up the fuel inside. But this success creates an immediate problem. A column of thick black unburned hydrocarbons billows into the sky, completely blinding the optical cameras of the drones following it. The explosion is the wake-up slap the Russians needed. Suddenly, the entire electronic landscape changes. The Krasuka 4 surges to life, pumping out enough raw radio energy to mess up every civilian cell phone from here to the next region. 2 Mi-28 Havoc gunships fire up their pilots, ordered to hunt for any electromagnetic signatures they can find. The Russian Ministry of Defense would later claim 92 drones were shot down across the country, 8 of them here at Ryazan. But the reality on the ground was way messier. The Russian operators ramp up their electronic assault, moving beyond simple GPS jamming to GPS spoofing, sending fake satellite signals designed to trick the Ukrainian drones into thinking they're somewhere over the Pacific Ocean. It's a sophisticated attack that would fool most commercial systems, but these aren't toy drones. Inside each custom FPV, precision solid-state gyros detect the difference between the false GPS data and its actual physical movement. The inertial measurement units don't need satellites. They track every change in speed and direction using basic physics. You can spoof a satellite, but you can't lie to Newton's laws of motion. Just then, shrapnel from a near miss by a Pantsir missile shreds the propellers of the third drone. It starts to tumble, crippled but not destroyed. The jamming pod blinds S-400 radar while the operator watching through his crystal-clear FPV feed makes a split-second decision that's equal parts brilliant and insane. Instead of letting the drone crash uselessly, he guides its burning wreckage directly into a pool of spilled fuel from the first explosion, using the drone itself as a fire starter to finish the job. A river of fire now starts snaking toward the refinery's core, a self-inflicted wound Russia never saw coming. The chess match is over. This is now just a knife fight in a burning room. while the 10 custom FPV-S began their suicide dive into the heart of the Russian defense network, the Sokil-300 mothership that carried them was already banking hard for home. Its mission was done. Now, its only job was to vanish. 80 miles away, it would execute its final command. A pre-programmed dive into a dense, empty forest, making sure its advanced tech would never be recovered by the enemy. But for its children, the real fight had just started. A proximity fuse goes off near the third drone, shredding it with tungsten fragments. A burst of cannon fire from a different Pantsir catches the fourth. The fifth, fighting the thermal updrafts from the initial fire, loses control and slams into the ground. An Mi-28 Havoc gunship, its optics finally cutting through the smoke, spots and obliterates the sixth drone. The jammer drone, its mission complete, gets caught and destroyed. A seventh attacker gets taken out by another Pantsir missile. 10 drones entered. 8 are now twisted. Ukrainian drones strike and destroy Ryazan Refinery as burning scraps scattered across the Ryazan countryside. If you were one of those operators with one shot, which would you choose? The brain or the heart? Let me know your tactical reasoning in the comments below. The Ukrainian operators didn't have to choose. They had 2 drones. 2 final commands are sent. Both FPV-S push their throttles to maximum and begin their terminal dives. At 2:03 a.m., the first FPV impacts the ELUAVT-6. The 4.5-pound shaped charge doesn't just explode, it performs physics-based surgery. Its copper liner inverts and stretches into a molten jet, moving at 25,000 feet per second, punching through the unit's steel housing and injecting over 5,000-degree Fahrenheit plasma directly into the intricate network of pipes and pressure vessels. It's like firing a bolt of lightning into a city's power grid. The system doesn't just break, it cooks itself from the inside out. Exactly 1.3 seconds later, the second drone hits the storage tank. This explosion is different. The shaped charge punctures the steel wall, but the real weapon is the tens of thousands of tons of crude oil inside. The fuel ignites instantly from the heat and pressure, shattering the tank's 20mm steel walls like glass. It's like shaking a can of soda for 5 minutes and then shooting it with a rifle. The result is a fireball that NASA satellites register from orbit. The strategic fallout was immediate and catastrophic for Russia. The destruction of the LUAVT-6 and the subsequent uncontrollable fires crippled 50% of the Ryazan refinery's output. This one strike contributed to a 17% drop in Russia's entire national refining capacity. Within weeks, Russia, a supposed energy superpower, was humiliatingly forced to import gasoline from Belarus, while prices at their own pumps spiked by 54%. The 2 drones that got through, a combined investment of maybe $10,000, inflicted billions in direct and indirect damages. Not even the best Wall Street hedge fund could get you a return on investment like that. Moscow's response was predictably brutish and unimaginative. They deployed 5 more Pantsir-S1 systems and another pair of Mi-28 helicopters to Ryazan. They reinforced the very systems that had just spectacularly failed. It's like installing a taller fence to keep out birds after your house was just destroyed by a flood. In the end, Ukraine proved a fundamental lesson of modern warfare that my ancestors understood well. It's not about how big your club is, it's about knowing exactly where to strike. You don't need a billion-dollar hammer to win. Sometimes all you need is a very smart, very cheap, and very sharp nail. If you enjoyed watching a billion-dollar fortress get outsmarted by a garage-built drone, do us a favor and hammer that like button. Share this video with anyone who needs a lesson in asymmetric warfare or just enjoys watching a bully get a bloody nose. And make sure you subscribe and ring that notification bell so you're the first to know the next time a Russian general has a very, very bad day.